Okay, let's roll here with c4. Maybe we'll enter a similar position with the roles reversed. And I forgot to actually just keep flipping that board when I go over things. So, all right, well, this is different. Let's get the knight out. And if knight here isn't played right away, okay, now we're having a Sicilian, a reverse Sicilian. Will f5 be played before knight f6? We're going to see about that. Meantime, bishop g2. And, okay, let's go forward with it. And let's go forward with more development. I'm retaining these, the options with these guys. It's castle. And, wow, what else? Rook b1 with an early b4, b5. I don't know about the knight move. Let's do this. There is some possibilities that the rooks could be subjected to, the rook on a1 could be subjected to tactics along this diagonal. So there's two reasons to want to go with the rook b1 move instead of, let's say, a3. Both support b4, but this one stays out of trouble. Stays off of this diagonal. Now what? I'm going to do this. If the knight plays here, I'm going to consider avoiding the exchange, playing to d2. Seeing how that I have a slight space advantage. Well, actually, I don't know. Do I really have a space advantage? On the queen side, I do. This pawn is far further advanced than my own pawn on the king side. I could play knight here at any moment. Hit that bishop. And I'm going to do this, actually. Is the queen going to play to d7? Queen d7, knight to g5. And I am officially picking up the bishop pair now. Knight g5, bishop here, g4. The very valuable light square bishop. The pawns are on dark squares right here, and the bishop is complementing those pawns quite well. What else? Okay, I can get that bishop whenever I want. I'm viewing this position, by the way, as one similar to that of having my opponent's piece in a pin, almost like my knight. It's usually the case that a bishop would pin a knight to a king, but right now it's like this bishop can't move anyhow. It's kind of in a pin in a weird way right here, right? A pin piece can't move. This bishop really just doesn't even have any moves. I could take him any second. Should I be taking him now? No, I don't see a reason to. Let's move forward. Get my rook involved maybe on the b file. If this d5 move is going to be played, it's not without It's not without allowing a 2-to-1 majority in the center. And if my opponent doesn't want to have to deal with the 2-to-1 majority in the center, c6 is going to be played. But if it's played, my rook comes to life. Well, now that I was forced into doing it, now I'm going to do it. If pawn takes and this file opens up, now this is a bit more weak. Actually, these last two pawn moves, the one that kicked my knight, the one that attacked my knight, and the one that captured in this direction, both weakened this g6 square. So I'm wondering how can I maybe get at that pawn. Bishop here, a queen maybe here. The knight is supporting it. This file is half opened. Maybe queen b3 being opposite the king is not a bad idea. And actually, I like that idea. So I'm going to go with it. Queen b3, a developing move. It was one of the first ones I was looking at. I had many moves I could be making. I'm still looking to complete my development. My opponent is fully developed. Rook's connected. I am not. My bishop's still needing to move. And if this pawn presses forward, this becomes a much more appealing diagonal. because it could see the knight. It's pinning the knight to the rook. The king is shifting over, getting off of that file. Understandable. I think this is a good spot for my bishop. Even though it seems like it's biting on a rock right now, this pawn can always be, or this pawn right here on d6 can always be undermined with b6. And if my opponent prevents me from doing b6 by playing b6, then that means my bishop can control this square, and I can maybe be getting to the 7th rank and putting pressure on black that much easier. Now, this knight, what is it looking to do? What's the threat? Where would it like to go next? It wants to go to this square, so I'm going to take that into account and bump my pawn up a single square. That's probably the first question by default that I ask myself when I'm playing the game. What is the threat? What is it my opponent is looking to do? Where would that piece that they just moved, where would it like to go next? Okay, looking to double on the F file. Interesting. I think I should be pushing right now. Pawn push, pawn push, pawn push, takes. I think I want this position to just open up. Can I make that work? Okay. There's going to be doubled rooks. Is there going to be a sacrifice on this square at some point? Maybe. I don't want to push here, just chase the knight to a good square. Actually, I'm going to come back here with my bishop, and I'm going to look to get over here quickly. This rook can't go here so easily because I am on this pawn. As soon as that pawn moves, though, I have this square available. Maybe getting a knight there would be good. Knight a2, b4, c6. That really does need to be calculated because I am going backwards. And this is not a closed position, so if I'm looking into moves that are like that are maybe a bit long-winded, maneuvering type of ideas, kind of have to weigh that. Is it worth the time invested? Are you going to be able to accomplish a whole lot if you get that in? Things of that nature are good ones to be considering. My rook isn't doing anything. Let's get it doing something on A. I'm looking to converge on this pawn. There is no pawn push. The pawn pushes are under control. I am fearful of the knights converging on this square, actually. So we got this knight ready to play here. Interesting idea. How about I stop that? These are counterparts. The knights that were on c3 and f6 were both fighting over the same center squares, and what you'll find very often is that when one of them moves, the other one, your opponent's other knight, will like to move right away. So he just gave up control of this square. I can actually occupy it and defend against a follow-up square the knight wants to go to. So now that that knight is out of here, these pawns are broken up a bit. I have this square available, but I'm liking this. One pig on the 7th, hitting a lot of stuff, a lot of pieces, maybe cutting off the king. The king does not have a good home. I think I just get this guy over here and everything is going to be okay. I want to get off one pair of rooks. Okay, now we're having that. So let me do this. I'm looking for queen b2. I want to target this pawn. If this pawn is hit, I could defend like that. Queen b2 also defends f2. And what next? Pawn push. I think this is the move that that ends up breaking down black right now. Exploiting a pin, piling up on the pinned pawn. And how to recapture. I'm going to do this. Or no, the pawn could just take now since it's defended. Why'd I do that? There's no time. I should have just taken while I had the opportunity. Now I'm going to take. The knight's going to play here, though. I'm going to end up having to back up. Okay, and I probably have to switch gears here. Let's come over in this direction. It's the f6 square that I'm finding more appealing right now. Rook right here, and if it's captured, I repair my pawn structure, and I get my bishop back to this e4 square. I'm looking to target g6 now. Pawn push with g6 coming under fire. Okay, this is crumbling now. No time, no time, no time, no time. Good game. Let's back up. Let's see about this. Okay. Okay. I wonder if you could consider, instead of the knight move, sneaking in f5 and only then knight f6. Look into that move. f5 and then knight f6, because then you have possibilities of f4. Going for a kingside attack is something you should be looking into right now. You have a pawn. Your e-pawn is further advanced than my own. You're maybe ready to kick my knight away at some point. You're ready to maybe open up the f-file. If you have your pawn on f5, consider this. f5 and then knight f6. Big difference. I have more to be concerned about. You castle, and there's even pawn sacks with like knight here, and then I don't know. I know that there's just a lot more possibilities if you have that in before your knight comes to f6. So consider that. What else? Yeah. Also, before you bump the queen up, consider h6. A good move. Actually, sometimes you would even want to play it before your bishop plays here. So you could even consider it right now. Two purposes: stop the knight here, and looking a bit more long term. This is often a better flight square for the king than the g7 square. This bishop is wanting to just hang out on that square. Your king is going to want to have maybe a different square available should I get a rook back here one day. Alright, so h6 is another one to consider. You preserve your bishop pair. Right now I end up getting it, and I don't know if you have successful pawn breaks here. I have the potential pawn breaks under control. If you're ever doing this, I can maybe go in for two rooks versus queen situation. I think I have coordination to go in for that imbalance. And I think it's trouble. I don't know. I'm failing to see a good plan for black. So I think it's coming back to me getting in this knight takes bishop exchange. I don't know if the resulting pawn structure is enough for you right here. You get something in return, okay, a half open f-file, but can you really put it to use? A good question to ask. I don't know if there's a great answer to it. I don't know if there is enough compensation on that f-file. So I don't know. If you were struggling to find a plan, maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that's the quick diagnosis right here. So now you know how you could be stopping that. Preserve that bishop's position before you play here. Recognize its purpose. Guard g5, flight square as well, and then run forward with this, and then this, and then I'm having to maybe do h3, king h2 in response. Some food for thought.